Welcome into SportsZone All Access here on this Wednesday, October the 29th. Just crazy to believe. There's only a couple days left in October and football season in full swing. Today we've got a super busy show. In fact, not a ton of talking from us who, we normally having conversations, debates here. Not much this week because we have two coaches joining us. It'll be Jefferson's head coach, Eric Struck, joining us first with Ian Sachs here in a little bit. And then Ryan Evans, the Washington head coach, joining us. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's have our midweek update with SDSU and USD, the Coyotes and Jackrabbits, both at home this weekend. SDSU coming off their 38-7 loss to the Bison of North Dakota State. And something that they haven't struggled with too much this year is offensive consistency. Well, they did that the other day. 3.5 yards per play, just 166 yards for the whole game. They were not good on third down conversions as well. And so they're trying to build that consistency. And that's what Dan Jackson talked to the media on Tuesday.
Our offense just needs to be able to find some more rhythm within the early portions of the game. I thought, our first run of the game, was 5-6 yard gain, in just a simple inside zone, and was encouraging. And so we got to find ways to do that consistently. If you could do it once, you could do it more.
If you can do it once, you can do it more, and that's what Dan Jackson thinks is a possibility. We'll see what happens this Saturday. They host Indiana State and trying to get back in the win column. And, there's things that they can learn from. I think they will. We'll talk more on Friday in our college football preview show. Let's talk USD, the Coyotes back at home as well as they take on a good North Dakota team. They're coming off a tough loss to Illinois State. And they've seen some problems. They've seen some problems that one week they fix, and the next week a new problem shows up. And they've kind of been battling, trying to find what their best football looks like. They haven't got there yet, but Travis Johansson keeps trying to find it.
I wish I could attribute it to one single thing, that we could address one single thing and all of our problems would go away. It's not it. It's a team game.
Yeah, it's a team game. Pretty simple conversation there. USD looking to build off of something. They got 3 games left. They got to win a couple of them if they want to make the playoffs. All 3 if they certainly want to make the playoffs, but they are in a really, really tough position. Well, as we mentioned, the KELOLAND Sports Game of the Week returns this week with a Thursday night game in 11 AAA. It's the quarterfinal playoffs between Washington and Jefferson. And we're going to preview the matchup, talking with both head coaches. First, Eric Struck with Ian Sachs next, and then we'll talk with Ryan Evans after that, right here on SportsZone All Access.
Welcome back to SportsZone All Access, and for this segment of the show today, we have a special guest in studio today, and we are joined by Jefferson head coach Eric Struck. Coach, thanks so much for coming in today.
You bet, Ian. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Coach, regular season is in the books. You guys are the number 3 seed in 11 AAA. Just take me through the season. What's your overall thoughts on how the Cavaliers have been playing?
Well, I definitely think we've gotten a lot better as the season's gone on. That middle stretch there where we lost to Lincoln and OG. We weren't at our best, a lot of mistakes, dealing with some injuries and things like that. But, basically, I guess since the second half of the Harrisburg game on, the improvement, is noticeable. And, the speed at which we're playing on offense and defense, our mistakes are going way down and our level of execution is going way up. So, being that playoffs are starting, I think we're in a really good spot.
4 straight wins going into the postseason. You mentioned those back-to-back losses in the middle of the season. One of the most impressive wins so far came at the end of the regular season. You guys knocked off then number 1 Brandon Valley. Take me through that game. How do you feel like the team has been playing the last couple of weeks?
Our kids were looking forward, to the game. I think obviously you're playing the number 1 team in the state, and they're known for their physicality, their run game, their offensive line. Their defense has been really good. So, our kids knew it was going to be a challenge. And I think in games like this, there's really no magic play or blitz or scheme. It's just whether or not you can hang in there from a physical standpoint and keep stepping up. Like defensively, can you take on, a 300-pound guard that's, going to Iowa? you can do it maybe once or twice, but will you be able to do it the whole game? And our kids did that. They didn't back down. They didn't flinch. They stood in there. First quarter was really rough offensively for us, and our kids didn't, they didn't panic. They just hung in there together. They kept playing hard, and they kept making plays. And, we just have different guys stepping up all the time. And it's been a lot of fun to be around them and watch them improve, and just watch them, take on the challenges head on and just keep getting better every week. So they did that Thursday night, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just great to see the emotion after the game in the kids, and how much they enjoyed that and how much they wanted that.
One of the cool things about your offense that we've seen throughout this season has been the 2-quarterback system that you've implemented. How has that worked this year? And kind of take me through that thought process.
Sure. Yeah, we had a competition over the summer in the first 2 weeks of practice. And when those 2 weeks got over, it was pretty close. Boston was just a little bit ahead, but we thought Kaysen deserved an opportunity to play. So we were able to figure out a system where they both had kind of something that they could take control of, take ownership of, and then in case something would ever happen, we'd have somebody that was prepared and had gotten live reps against quality opponents. And it just so happened to work out. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but it just so happened that Boston gets hurt and Kaysen needs to step in, and he's already had 10 to 20 snaps a game, in tough spots. So it wasn't a big deal for him to step in there and just take control of the game. And they both are really good football players. Just got to keep finding ways to keep them involved, and whichever one's taking control, our team has full confidence in them.
One of the cool things about your defense this year, switching over to that side of the ball, one of 3 teams in 11 AAA that's yielding less than 20 points per game. How have you seen the defense develop throughout the season?
We had that middle stretch again. We had some communication issues. Maybe eyes weren't always in the right place, those kind of things. But, our D coordinator, Ed Whiting, and our defensive staff, Corey Johnson, Mark Eisenbry, Mike Leach, Zach Bolden, and Alvin Ashley, they've done a fantastic job of just, focusing on the fundamentals, getting the kids' eyes in the right spot, making sure that the pieces are in place, and just, honing in on fundamentals every week. And now they're playing really super fast, really physical, and they're doing a great job. And really, they're kind of the cornerstone of our team, and they're the ones that are going to lead us as far as we could go.
What's been the biggest difference? We keep talking about the stretch, that 2-game losing streak in the middle of the season, now 4 straight wins. What's been the biggest difference that you've seen from the squad over these last handful of weeks?
We made some slight changes. We added Noah Duran to the offensive line. In that middle stretch, we had Gabe Ralston was out. He missed, probably, half of the Lincoln game and all the OG game. And he's one of our best linemen. So that hurt a little bit. But getting him back healthy and then adding Noah Duran to the O-line gave us a sense of physicality there. He's a strong kid. Was our starting nose. But adding him has made a huge difference in our O-line. Then it's also allowed Devontae Fields to play more on defense and us to be able to rotate Noah in a little bit, so we've a little bit fresher on the D-line. And, our kids just, I think that second half of the Harrisburg game, being able to show that no matter what the situation is, as long as we keep doing what we're supposed to be doing, executing the way we're supposed to be executing and playing at the tempo we want to play at, we can overcome a lot of things, and we're as good as anybody. And it's just, you could just kind of see it in their faces how much they believe in one another right now, and how much those kind of things where things aren't going our way, it doesn't bother them. They just keep playing and finding ways to find some success. And we've just been able to do that, and it's been fun to watch.
Well, Coach, let's start talking about the postseason. It's here starting this week. Looking at the bracket now for 11 AAA, as mentioned, you're the 3 seed, facing off against a Washington team that you beat pretty handily pretty early in the season, but both clubs are on 4-game winning streaks heading into the postseason. What can you take from that first matchup, and what have you seen from them since?
Well, I think everybody sees that their skill talent is as good as, if not better than anybody's. Their receivers are really, really good. They've got 2 talented running backs, and they've got some really athletic kids in the back end of their defense. So they've got a really good team, and just like us, you start stringing some wins together, your confidence builds, and you feel like you can beat anybody at any time. In that first game, they were up, 14-13 in the third quarter. They were moving the ball pretty consistently. They got some stops on us, and we just happened to get a couple turnovers and finish a couple drives that kind of put it away. So, we fully expect it's going to be a classic Metro playoff game. I was at Lincoln for many years, and we always seemed to play Washington in the first round, and, one on a Hail Mary. They came back and upset us one year, those kind of things. Like, we fully expect it to be a back-and-forth competitive game that goes right down to the wire.
What are you looking forward to most from your team to develop this week as you get ready? Another kind of a short week. How do you prep for this where you play on Friday all year long, basically, and then you move up to Thursday, then it's another Thursday, and then, should you get past that, then it's back to Friday? What do you make of kind of the scheduling of the postseason? It
is a little different. And really, if you haven't been through it before, it takes a while to get used to. So like last weekend, ready for Brandon, Monday is usually a light day for us, but that was a normal practice, and Tuesday a normal practice. And then Wednesday kind of became our pregame practice. We didn't really change a whole lot as far as what we did in those practices. We just moved everything up a day, and then having a Thursday game allowed us to have an extra day of rest. So that's probably really good timing. We just lifted Friday after school, and then the kids have been off all weekend, and we'll just follow the same schedule this next week where Monday and Tuesday are normal, and Wednesday is kind of our pregame practice. And then if we're fortunate enough to win Thursday, we're kind of right back on schedule with a Friday game. So you just kind of have to understand where you're at as far as physically, how your team's doing, and what you can and can't do in practice. And we got some guys that are dinged and so on and so forth. So practices have been fairly short, but the kids have done a great job of the tempo of practice and still being a little bit physical and having quality reps in that short amount of time.
Well, Coach, really looking forward to it. Thursday night, Washington and Jefferson in our game of the week. Good luck this week, and hope to be talking to you again later in the postseason.
You bet. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for having me.
More SportsZone All Access coming up next.
And welcome back to SportsZone All Access here on this Wednesday, October the 29th. And got a big game coming up this week, quarterfinal playoffs across all 7 classes of high school football. That includes an 11 AAA. And joining us now is Washington head coach Ryan Evans. And Coach Evans, thanks for taking the time to come and talk with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As we look at this week, we always talk about big games, teams playing well is kind of what we do when we have people on. And you guys are kind of doing a little bit of both right now. You've won 5 of your last 6. It seems like you're in a little bit of a rhythm. What's kind of working right now for the Warriors?
We're just concentrating on how we can get better ourselves each and every day. Not trying to look ahead, even at the next day. It's just our kids really needed to focus and break it down in the nuts and bolts of how do we go 1-0 every day. Not only every day, but every rep, every practice, every drill. And that's really helped us improve. The teams that are playing the best at the end of the season are the ones that grow throughout the season. And we feel like our boys have put themselves in a very good spot.
Well, and 2, you guys had to get a little healthy. You guys had some injuries coming into the season, and we've seen you guys get some of those guys healthy. And it's not a coincidence from where I'm sitting anyway that we've seen you guys get healthy and then start winning some football games at the same time.
Yeah, we had some guys that came into the season a little dinged up, and then game 3, our game with Jefferson, we had our starting running back was out, and then we lost another receiver that game. But it is what it is. It actually just built depth for us. We had some guys miss some time throughout, and just like all the teams have over the last few weeks. But things are coming together when they need to, and we've built depth and some hunger in all throughout all of that. And we're excited.
Certainly, and let's talk about last week. You guys squaring off against T Area and finishing the season with a win there. And it seemed like kind of what we've seen from you guys, where the offense gets it done a handful of times and the defense was really good once again. And that seems like what's been working for you down the stretch here.
Yeah. Going into that game, we really wanted to be able to establish the run game on offense, and we were able to do that, and we struck through the air. That obviously helps open up the run game, and we have weapons through the air, a lot of them. And so we had that going for us. And our defense just keeps bringing it each and every week. Even when teams go on long drives like last week, T had a 16-play drive to start out the second half, and our defense kept them out of the end zone. And that's kind of been what they've been known for. So, just stayed true to their responsibilities and trust the guy next to them, and they get it done.
Certainly, and as we take a look at at the last 5 games that you're 5-1 in the last 6. You won 4 in a row, and kind of that big number as you look across the right side there, 14, 17, and then a pair of 7s in there as well. It seems like, you kind of said your defense has really stepped up for you guys, and even in that Lincoln game, not many teams have held Lincoln to only 33 points, and it seems like that was a really good, even though it was a loss, it seems like that was something you guys have really built off of and now won 4 straight from it. Yeah,
and through a lot of that, we talk about the mantra, the ball is the game, and our defense has been turning over offenses, and our offense, for the most part, has been taking care of the rock themselves. We started out the year with, something like 11 turnovers on our offensive end in the first 3 games, and since then we've taken care of the football. We're now +6 in the turnover margin, and the scores definitely prove it. The defense does what they do to get us back out there, and as long as we're taking care of the ball and not putting the defense in bad spots, our kids are keep staying in all those games, and it's been productive.
Yeah, you talk about some of your team stats from this year, and the one that, like I said, really stood out to me, 19 defensive takeaways for you guys this season, which is obviously a pretty impressive number in just 9 games. It's over 2 a game, but then 14 takeaways in those 5 wins. I mean, it's pretty key. Like you said, the ball is what wins football games, turning it over, and you guys have been really good spot with the takeaways when it comes to getting those victories.
Yeah, and the defense has goals each and every week, and they, obviously turnovers are part of that, and third down conversion rate is part of that too. And they've been, our boys and our staff have been really good at constantly improving those 2 numbers. The offense has been improving too, along with that, and get some health and obviously a little momentum too. It's exciting around Washington right now. The kids are really pumped for this week, and now it's playoff football time. It feels like it outside. The kids are excited. It's playoff weather, and it's do or die now.
And it seems like offensively, you guys have really been by committee where you guys have different guys stepping up. You got Hunter stepping up, you got Braden stepping up, a receiving core that you never know which guy is going to make the big play. You have a handful of guys there. It really seems like that's kind of been where you guys have tried to figure it out lately of, which one is going to be the hot hand, because it seems like you have a few each game.
Yeah, and, in our big games where we won and or played very well, when we talk about go back and look at that Lincoln game or look at our Gorman game, we were very level across the whole offense. Like, it wasn't just one guy doing it all. Guys were stepping up and making plays, making big blocks. Our offensive line has improved. Our boys, they communicate really well up there, and we're getting it done, running the ball and passing the ball, obviously, with our weapons there. And so that's fun to see. We want to make it difficult on defenses to figure out who they need to stop.
Yeah, no question. And we've seen that. We've seen that lately. And, I got to go back to that Lincoln game. There was so many things that went right in that game. You guys just about pulled off, an upset. I mean, and at that point, Lincoln was scoring like 55 points a game. And so for what you guys did was impressive. Is there, sometimes you can learn a lot from losses like that. Was that something that seemed to springboard you? I mean, like I said, you guys have won 4 straight since then.
Yeah. There was times even in the first, a couple moments in all 3 of our first games, which ended up being losses, where we started to gain momentum and definitely feel it when we talk to the team. And we had it 99% of the game during the Lincoln game. And, when the final whistle blew for that game to be over, our kids, in a loss weren't necessarily sad. They were just more upset that they wanted to keep playing. And they've had that attitude. They want to keep playing. They want to get better and better each and every day since then. So it has launched us a little bit just mentally, I think, and how we're trying to improve every day and what we need to get done and how we need to prepare.
Certainly. And now we take a look ahead. A big reason why you're here is because you got a big game coming up this week. And, this is Jefferson, a team that you guys played really tight for 3 quarters. Jefferson pulled away a little bit late there. But this is a team you guys are obviously very familiar with, a coach that's been in the district for quite some time. And this seems like it'll be, it's supposed to get challenging this time of year. It'll be a good challenge for you guys right out the gate in the quarterfinals.
Oh, yeah. The playoffs are what they are. And then when you talk about playing any team in AAA or even now the Metro Conference, there isn't a night off. You're going to get everybody's best. And all the kids know each other very well. Every team has players. And so Jefferson is right there. They're physical defense. They're physical on the offensive line too. They got a running back, and now they kind of have a tandem with a 1-2 punch with their running backs. They made a change at quarterback. They do a really good job of facilitating the offense. Coach Struck does a good job, and his entire staff, very veteran staff. Coach Whiting does an exceptional job on the defense. So it's a good matchup, a matchup that we're excited for. When all the cards were on the table and we saw that we were going to play Jefferson, we just thought, let's go. Let's prepare our kids. Let's get it done. And we're ready for a battle.
And it should be a good battle as well, Coach. Thanks for taking the time to join us today.
All right, thank you.
And we'll have more coming up on SportsZone All Access when we come back. Welcome back, SportsZone All Access. Time's winding down here. We'll finish it up. Richard Lucero Jr. continuing his journey as QB1 for Augustana. We'll talk with him. We'll also talk with the Augustana hockey team as they return home. And then Jefferson, Washington. We continue to preview the big KELOLAND sports game of the week, which we'll have live coverage of on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in to SportsZone All Access. We'll see you back here for Thursday, which will be our quarterfinal preview show.